Welcome back to our channel. Here are some news and Red Bull updates for the Orange Army, so stay till the end and don't miss anything. And if you're new here, subscribe to become part of the Orange Army. Today we're diving into the bombshell revelations coming out of Bahrain testing that have sent shockwaves through the entire Formula One paddock. Red Bull Ford is not just competitive, they're absolutely dominating, and rivals are terrified. Let's break down everything you need to know. The 2026 Formula One season hasn't even started yet, and Red Bull Racing has already established themselves as the team everyone else is chasing. After 2 weeks of intensive testing at the Bahrain International Circuit, one thing has become crystal clear. The Red Bull Ford power unit isn't just good, it's potentially revolutionary. In the most remarkable part, even their fiercest rivals are openly admitting it. Let's start with perhaps the most stunning admission in recent Formula One history. Toto Wolff, the team principal of Mercedes-AMG Petronas, a man who rarely gives competitors credit publicly, has openly declared that Red Bull Ford is the benchmark for 2026. This isn't just polite paddock talk or diplomatic public relations. Wolff specifically highlighted Red Bull's superior energy deployment capabilities, stating that they are deploying far more energy on straights than everybody else over 10 consecutive laps. To understand how significant this is, you need to grasp what the 2026 regulations demand from Formula One power units. The 2026 technical regulations represent the most dramatic change to Formula One's hybrid era since its introduction in 2014. The electrical component of the power unit now contributes 50% of the total power output, a massive increase from the previous generation. This means that managing battery energy, regenerating efficiently under braking, and deploying that electrical power strategically throughout a lap and across an entire stint has become absolutely critical. It's no longer just about having a powerful internal combustion engine, it's about creating perfect harmony between the V6 engine in the hybrid system, ensuring the driver never experiences a compromise in power delivery while maximizing efficiency. Red Bull Ford apparently cracked this code in spectacular fashion. While other teams can deploy maximum energy for a single qualifying lap, or perhaps a few aggressive race laps, Red Bull is maintaining this level of deployment for 10 consecutive laps at racing speeds. The implications are staggering. In race conditions, this could translate to Red Bull drivers having a significant power advantage throughout entire stints, not just on isolated laps. They could overtake at will, defend positions more effectively, and potentially even run different strategic approaches, knowing they have electrical energy available when competitors have exhausted theirs. Carlos Sainz, now driving for Williams after his move from Ferrari, confirmed what GPS data analysis has been showing throughout testing. Red Bull is a clear step ahead of the field. When a driver from a completely different team, with access to their own telemetry and comparative data, openly states that one team has established such a gap, it carries enormous weight. Sainz isn't trying to promote Red Bull, he's simply stating what the objective data demonstrates. The speed trap figures, the sector times, the long-run pace analysis, everything points to Red Bull Ford having found something special. Even Liam Lawson, driving for Red Bull's sister team, Racing Bulls, VC Carb, couldn't hide his enthusiasm when discussing the Ford unit, stating simply that it's working very, very well. James Vowles, the highly respected team principal of Williams and former Mercedes strategist, called Red Bull's achievement mighty impressive, and coming from someone with Vowles' engineering background and strategic acumen, that assessment carries significant authority. But let's talk about the numbers that really demonstrate Red Bull Ford's reliability and performance potential. During the first week of Bahrain testing, Max Verstappen completed an absolutely incredible 136 laps in a single day. To put this in perspective, a single lap of the Bahrain International Circuit is 5.412 kilometers. Verstappen's 136 laps equate to 736.032 kilometers of continuous running, which is roughly the distance from Red Bull's Milton Keynes headquarters to the legendary Nuremberg circuit in Germany. This wasn't just quantity for the sake of racking up mileage numbers. Verstappen's extensive running represented 22 laps beyond double race distance, meaning Red Bull ran the equivalent of more than 2 full Grand Prix distances with their championship leader without encountering any significant technical problems. In an era where new power unit regulations typically bring reliability headaches, cooling issues, and unexpected failures, Red Bull Ford's flawless execution is nothing short of remarkable. Verstappen himself was effusive in his praise for the new engine, calling the performance amazing to see and describing the overall progress as very positive. For a driver of Verstappen's caliber and experience, someone who has driven championship-winning machinery for years and knows exactly what a competitive car feels like, this level of enthusiasm is significant. He also noted that there's still so much to keep learning, which suggests Red Bull believes they haven't even extracted the full potential from this power unit yet. If they're already the benchmark in still finding improvements, the rest of the field should be very, very worried. When you combine Red Bull Racing's laps with those completed by their sister team, Racing Bulls, both running the identical Ford-badged power unit, the two teams accumulated 670 laps across the testing period. This represents an enormous amount of data collection, systems validation, and performance optimization. 0 major reliability issues were reported across this extensive running, which is virtually unheard of for a completely new power unit design tackling revolutionary technical regulations. The story of how Red Bull created this engine is almost as impressive as the performance it's delivering. The DM01 power unit, named in honor of Red Bull's late visionary chairman Dietrich Mateschitz, was built essentially from scratch in just 2.5 years at their purpose-built facility in Milton Keynes. This timeline is absolutely crazy when you consider the complexity involved in designing, developing, and manufacturing a Formula One hybrid power unit. Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault have been building F1 engines for decades. Honda, when they returned to the sport, needed years to become competitive. Yet Red Bull, with Ford branding and support, but fundamentally doing the engineering themselves, has created what rivals now fear might be the best power unit on the grid. This achievement required Red Bull to poach some of the finest engineering minds from established manufacturers, particularly from Mercedes' high-performance powertrains division. They invested hundreds of millions in facilities, testing equipment, dynos, and personnel. They brought in expertise from outside Formula One, leveraging Ford's institutional knowledge and engineering resources. And they did all of this while competing for championships with Honda and then customer Renault engines before transitioning to rebadged Honda units. The logistical and technical challenge was immense, yet they've emerged with a power unit that, according to Laurent Mekies, has surprised friend and foe alike by being reliable out of the box at Barcelona testing, and now shows genuine performance superiority in Bahrain. The technical innovation behind Red Bull Ford's energy deployment advantage is fascinating. In the 2026 regulations, the MGU-H, or Motor Generator Unit Heat, which recovered energy from the turbocharger, has been eliminated. This was one of the most complex and expensive components of previous hybrid systems. Its removal was intended to reduce costs and simplify the technology, but it also means that energy management becomes more challenging. Teams can only recover energy under braking through the MGU-K, or Motor Generator Unit Kinetic, and they must deploy that energy strategically throughout the lap. Red Bull has apparently achieved what Sky Sports technical analysts describe as perfect integration between the V6 engine and hybrid system without driver compromise. This means that as Verstappen or Hadjar accelerate out of corners or along straights, they're not experiencing any lag, any hesitation, or any moment where the electrical deployment drops and they're running on combustion power alone. The system is regenerating and redeploying electrical energy with what experts have called startling efficiency, creating a seamless power delivery that gives drivers confidence and creates a significant performance advantage. The battery management system Red Bull has developed deserves particular attention. Managing the thermal performance of the battery, ensuring it operates within optimal temperature windows while being charged and discharged repeatedly throughout a lap, is extraordinarily difficult. Red Bull has somehow created a system that can sustain maximum deployment for 10 consecutive laps, suggesting their battery cooling, their energy recovery efficiency, and their deployment mapping are all working in perfect harmony. This isn't just good engineering, this is potentially championship-defining innovation. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the ongoing power unit controversy that's creating political tension in the paddock. Mercedes has been accused by rival manufacturers of exploiting a potential loophole in the compression ratio regulations. The rules specify a maximum compression ratio of 16:1, but there are suggestions that Mercedes might be running closer to 18:1 by leveraging how the measurement is taken. Red Bull, along with Ferrari and other manufacturers, has demanded clarification and potential rule changes to close this loophole. The FIA has proposed a mid-season rule change coming in August 2026, which would introduce new compliance measurements at operating temperature rather than just at ambient conditions. Power unit manufacturers are expected to vote on this proposal within the next 10 days before the season-opening Australian Grand Prix. The political maneuvering is intense, with Mercedes arguing their interpretation is legal, while Red Bull and others claim it violates the spirit of the regulations. What makes this controversy even more interesting is that despite these allegations about Mercedes potentially having an illegal advantage, Red Bull Ford is still proving faster in testing. Toto Wolff's admission that he was hoping they were worse than they are because they have done a very good job speaks volumes. Even if Mercedes might have found a technical loophole, Red Bull's overall package, their energy deployment superiority, and their reliability advantage seem to be delivering better performance where it counts, on the track. The question everyone is asking is whether Red Bull's advantage will hold when the season begins in Melbourne. Testing times can be misleading. Teams run different fuel loads, different engine modes, and different testing programs. However, when multiple independent sources, including rival team principals, drivers from other teams, and technical analysts, all point to the same conclusion, it becomes harder to dismiss as sandbagging or testing anomalies. Red Bull Ford appears to have a genuine performance advantage, and if they can maintain this edge across the 24-race calendar, we could be witnessing another era of Red Bull dominance, but this time built entirely on their own terms, with their own engine.
Beyond the technical performance, there's the human element to consider. The recent staff shakeup at Red Bull Racing, with the departure of 4 senior administrative personnel from the Christian Horner era, signals that this is a team in transition. The new leadership under Laurent Mekies and Oliver Mintzlaff is putting their stamp on the organization, building structures and culture that align with their vision for Red Bull's future. The fact that this internal restructuring is happening simultaneously with the technical success of their first in-house power unit suggests that Red Bull is getting multiple things right at the same time. Max Verstappen's decision to race with number 3 instead of 33 for 2026 might seem like a minor detail, but it symbolizes this fresh start. It's his favorite number, the number his father used, and it represents Verstappen approaching this revolutionary season with renewed focus and personal connection to the machinery beneath him. When you combine a 4-time world champion operating at the peak of his powers with what appears to be the best power unit on the grid and a team that's simultaneously restructuring for long-term success, the ingredients are in place for something special. The Paddock sources that believe Red Bull has reacted very well to the new regulations are being proven correct with each testing session, while other teams are still finding their way with active aerodynamics, managing the increased electrical power, and dealing with the quirks of cars that are fundamentally different from anything Formula One has seen before. Red Bull appears to have hit the ground running. Their philosophy, their engineering approach, and their relentless pursuit of marginal gains have translated beautifully into this new regulatory framework. As we head into the second week of Bahrain testing, happening right now from February 18 to 20, all eyes will be on Red Bull to see if they can maintain this advantage. Will they continue to show superior energy deployment? Can they replicate the reliability that saw them complete hundreds of trouble-free laps?
And perhaps most importantly, how will rivals respond when they see the data from this week's sessions? One thing is certain, the Orange Army has every reason to be excited about 2026. Red Bull Ford isn't just competing, they're setting the standard that everyone else is chasing. The combination of technical excellence, driver brilliance, and organizational transformation has created what could be the most formidable package on the grid. The season hasn't started yet, but Red Bull has already won the first battle. Now they need to convert that testing superiority into race wins, podiums, and ultimately, championships. So there you have it, Orange Army. Red Bull Ford is shocking the Formula One world, and the 2026 season is shaping up to be absolutely incredible. What do you think about Red Bull's dominance in testing? Can anyone catch them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that subscribe button to join the Orange Army, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next one.